PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of Liberating Menopause is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Hi, merry holidays to everyone from Liberating Menopause. I am your host, Lisa Vasquez, but also from the PR Connection Radio team, all the hosts and podcast hosts, everyone behind the scenes. I want to wish you all a merry holiday and enjoy your Christmas this year. So let's get started. I'm excited about talking about today's episode, and I have a few little I'll be narrating and telling you a story. It's like a Christmas story, but it's coming from the inner you. It's the conversation nobody talks about during this time of the year, when our eyes are lit up with all the sweet treats and everything that walks in the house, when we're at work, when we walk in the building with all the beauty and joy that's spread, candy canes, cookies, sweets. You know, that's all the best fun stuff about when you're at work and, you know, everybody's delivering something. So here we go. Today we're going to talk about, you know, it's like a computer. So you have to imagine yourself as a computer. And, you know, when we talk about liberating menopause, it's really to bring the awareness of what hormones are doing to us women in the workplace, how we're structured, and how most of our symptoms and a lot of loss of energy and things of that nature are never captured because it's a hormone chemistry balance that's either imbalancing, breaking down, sparking up because you're starting to that new monthly cycle, something, but we're fluctuating every day. Hormones are consistently changing all day long. So we're never the same today as we'll be tomorrow. It's always going to be different. And so thinking about yourself as a computer, and you know, when a computer is overloaded, my whole episode is about that slow cooker. We're talking about potluck hormones, you know, because we all have people who bring in dishes, and you know, it really is the luck of whatever's in there. Nothing comes with ingredients except what you get to taste and scent, you know, in the air and things of that nature. But how it affects us is a whole different story. So, you know, like it's like, I mean, year after year, depending on how long you've worked in your location. I've been in my field 45 years before I retired. So this was an ongoing accumulation. And had I really enjoyed and played in all the reindeer games at the table, I really can't imagine where I would be today as far as balanced. Because thanks to so many women who have supported and guided me in my life through my radiology practice and breast health and mammography, you know, it was always a woman of a hormone walking and talking to me, whether she was Lady Estrogen, Lady Progesterone, Lady Testosterone, or that little bad reindeer that goes into our stomach called Lady Graylin. Now she's the one that has the appetite and the one that kind of gets a little out of whack. So you're going to hear all about them in a moment, but you know, it's our bodies that can feel that. And everything that we do from the moment we start, you know, when we wake up, the cortisol has risen, inflammation is already beginning. And in these factors, it's like a good thing because this is what we want, but it's what we do to add to the incineration of burning down the house, adding to that inflammation. You know, we have, so we're going to talk about this slow cooking because these are the things that simmer in us, you know, whether it's those loss of energies, the mood swings, the challenges that, you know, we lacked last night, whether we were able to sleep or not. But it's not that we're doing anything wrong. It's just when you learn how to run this wave of life, and as I always talk about, our hormones are only in this mode and balance, up until menopausal age, which is in your 50s. And so, but it's a whole gamut that we have to run. And if the nourishment isn't in sync for the age, if we're not eating our age and balancing in our stage of life, these are what can add up into these complicated modes we fall into. It's a gentle simmer and it's silent, like slow leaks. Things are popping, but we don't know it because a lot of whispers that come, we like to ignore because we just have never had the awareness to really recognize them and say, oh yeah, that must be that, I better slow down, or something's imbalancing me, I'm not sleeping. No, we get through the night, and whether we struggle or not, we still get up, go to work, have that coffee and enjoy the turbo boost and things like that, but we're really not thinking about the roots causes to any of this. So today, as I talk about our holiday guest that I'm about to bring in, I have arrived right now, Graylin. Graylin is the reindeer antler. And again, that's going to be your appetite. Lady Estrogen and her sparky, sweet. Now, she could get a little moody too. So Lady Progesterone, the one that carries everything, so calm. She calms everybody down. She's like that smoother. She's the buffer. And then Lady Testosterone to keep everyone on track. These messages that come to us through these messengers, I'm going to speak for them now. And so I want to invite you as I clock in to the Hormone Potluck, that team meeting that's taking place in the conference room. And here comes Graylin bursting in wearing reindeer antlers. And okay, ladies, listen up. The holiday munchies are back. And, that's Graylin, always ready to eat something. And I'm ready to raid the break room cookie trays. See, just what I said. Who's with me? And that's how everybody in the team starts to get all riled up. And, either there's going to be a yay or a nay. And most of the time, at this time of the year, it's always yays. But we're not thinking about everything. So Lady Estrogen, she's just adjusting her sparky holiday sweater that she has on, and cookies, she's still trying to recover from crying at the office Secret Santa reveal. So she's a little imbalanced right now. And then we have Lady Progesterone, and she's placing her peppermint tea on the table because she's going to keep everything calm. She's taking in deep breaths. She's asking the team to try to relax with her as she enjoys this tea. And we could enjoy the treats. We just need balance. Oh gosh, and Graylin sits down before you knock over the poinsettias because, Graylin heard that and he's not ready for balance. She doesn't want that. And then here comes Lady Testosterone, and she's leaning back, sipping on her black coffee. And Graylin, you always show up loud. What set you off this time? Deadlines? Group chats, or someone opened the holiday popcorn tin. See, you just never know, because that appetite that we have with our eyes and what we reach for has different buttons that I get set off, because we're not joining in at the table feast at this time. We're just popping everything, different things that we're seeing. So Lady Estrogen's laughing and she's, oh, honey, it's the holidays. But when you get loud talking to Graylin, my emotions get louder. And, sometimes she starts to get either loud dominance or, loud upset. And Lady Progesterone, she is, and her job is to keep everyone calm. So she makes it feel like managing toddlers hopped up on a candy cane. Everybody just loves to have those candy canes or walking around peppermints. We're not thinking about sparking our sugars and raising the cortisol inflammation. We're not thinking about all that as we just knit and pick and eat and chew down these things. I bring this to Lady Testosterone. She wants to, let's be real, cravings aren't the enemy, but we're not letting the blow up monster ruin the office holiday, photos. And none of this conversation is really to be shamed by or to be offended by. This is awareness. This is what happens inside your body. So, Graylin, he's still hungry. She's still hungry, and progesterone, of course, just the kind that keeps your body steady. So if you are going to knit and pick and choose those things, really think of what you're going to munch on now before that main. And a lot of people are still going to go home to big dinners. So you really have to choose empty calories versus the calories you really want to gain off of. That was how I always looked at things, because a lot of things weren't worth it, not especially when I know my mom's cooking my favorite meal and I can't wait to get home. So, I'm not going to fill up on empty calories. I want, the good stuff. And here comes Lady Progesterone. She just wants to keep the kind that keep your body steady, right? I mean, because she just wants everybody to be in harmony. And then testosterone, Lady Testosterone, your confidence shining brighter than the office tree because of her energy, her strength, and, she has a lot of discipline. So, okay, fine. Graylin is going to join the health team, but only if we make it fun. And that's the whole thing. It comes down to when you have to pick and choose. And I know this conversation sounds like, oh man, because nobody wants to hear that at this time of the year. And I don't want to deflect you from looking at anything and reacting. I just want you to respond and really think about it, because your whole future is at stake at this time of the year, because these potlucks are what adds up the whole year on our calorie intake. This is the one that really blows us over. But it's not so much of what's happening at that moment. It's the long-term effects. It's how that sugar is coming in and taking over and starting to eat away at the skin, the collagen. It starts to, poison the body. And this is what gives us this breakdown. And again, thanks to these ladies, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be any better than anybody else in the workplace if I was just working all the time and just enjoying all these potlucks that came and what the sales reps dropped off or the doctor's office sent with baskets of goodies. I always waited for the tins to be empty so I can collect those little boxes. But honestly, being in control and discipline and thinking of, because we all want to live a graceful life, right? We all want to keep that beauty as long as possible, for sure. But it's all that inner beauty that needs to be turned into the garden of life, the paradise, the beauty. We don't want it to be an empty bucket like a garbage can, and everything just gets thrown in there because we know it's going to be devoured, even if we don't know what it tastes like. We're going to taste it and, maybe we'll like it, maybe we won't, or maybe we'll eat it just to satisfy the crowd. But again, unnecessary calories is the whole factor about this, because you have a long life to live on this journey in your careers. The beginners who are just entering, the ones that have been there for at least 10, 20 years, and the ones who are almost on their way out. Those are the ladies, because when we're in our 40s and our 50s, this is the hot pot luck party. This is where all that simmering that you've added in through those years is cooking, and now it's starting to show. And we want it to glow. This is all about glowing up. We don't want to close down the images that, we're looking forward to when we leave this place, when we leave the workforce. I was talking about that on the last episode of, our dependency on where we work at, because it's such an accumulation of years of our life, and we're so systematic to it, waking up, knowing what we got to do, all these things. But at a point, that stuff will disappear, and you really have to think about, what are you going to wake up to? I was just recently talking to a friend of mine, and a big doctor, and she's loving her work, and that's a great thing. But when she looks at years of retirement that are approaching, she's not seeing it. And she's not seeing it because, she'd rather be working than doing nothing because of where she's at. And how she's living right now isn't in her best place of the cities that she likes to be in, but for now that's what she deals with, so she'll stay with that. And so there was no vision. I mean, right away I'm thinking, hey, let's go to Portugal, let's go do something, because she's around my age, or I'm around her age. Actually, she's a year older than me. I just found that out. But the point being is that she already closed down the roads to, we won't be taking vacation because she wants to stay working. And I was like, oh, okay. But, and this is great. I mean, this is really, really great. But a lot of times when you really have that vision and that purpose in life, which is the meaning of everything to our living, this all needs to be set up now, today, because that day's going to come. I'm telling you, when they say these years go by faster than you know, they really do. They really do. And you're on the outs, and now you have to really think, what's that life afterwards going to look like? So, I just want to welcome you to this hormone potluck. I want to speak for those hormones because the whispers aren't loud enough for you to really understand what they're trying to say, because they really have so many messages in our body, especially when you start losing energy. There's certain ages that, we really just shouldn't be losing energy. So by clocking and writing these things down and seeing how this measures out compared to how you were, I mean, there has to be something that sets off in you to make you think, I've got to change something because something's not right anymore. We need to recognize it instead of shoot right through it and just continue on, because this is what through primal life up until now, when hormones started to break out with all these conversations of menopause and peripause and menstrual cycles, before all that was really brought out louder and amplified, it was something it was a low tone. And it was a shameful tone, and there was no power behind any of those cycles. And in fact, there is so much power behind all that. I just mentioned that, not until 1993 did they really start studying women's health, as far as especially working out and things like that. We've all been tested under a male structure. And this is why we need to really understand who we are as that woman. Those hormones really speak, and they could create such beauty when we find that balance. So, with these holidays, if you sip slow and choose sweetly, right? Stay steady. I mean, if you had a good time today and you're seeing a good time tomorrow, then, really measure it out. Which time's going to be the better time? And do you really need that extra piece of chocolate? Because tomorrow there's going to be a whole fest at the chocolate fudge place, what have you, or, what have you. I mean, you only know what your schedule looks like, what parties you're going to, and then we're not even talking about the Jolly Jiggers. We didn't even talk about that, so that's the sweets. I mean, trays of coffee start coming in, your favorite. I know a place I used to work, the boss would buy the whole office. So they'd come and take our list, and then you'd see that tray full of all the cream and the drinks with the chocolate chips inside them and the caramels droppings all over I mean, all that stuff. I mean, could you imagine? Do you really look at what one of those drinks alone and the sugar intake is? Because that alone, I mean, in general, women, we only need 26 grams a day. One of those drinks, I think, goes up to 32 grams. So you already took over your whole day. So, and now you just keep adding. And the furnace just keeps blowing up, and we just keep burning down the house, and we don't even know it until we have all the bloating and mood swings. Gosh, so sip. I keep saying sip slow, and let your holiday glow come from inside. Because I'm telling you, the only way I could be able to present to you in my way is because my whole life was looking through the lens of radiology, and that's only inside. So my whole vision was inside. I didn't get to look here. I listened to the women And I seen inside when you came in for those stomach upsets, when you came in for stomach exams, or you came in for that obstructive series because your abdomen was so bloated and big and you didn't know why you were constipated. And now we're taking x-rays of that and we can see it all, we can see all the gas patterns. We see it all. So, and then you look at the person and then you want to really take notes on the thought that this isn't how you want to be. I mean, when I walked into the field of radiology, the first two things I had already picked up on was that, because for me, from the breaks that I had seen, and that was really for me being on skis and being on motorcycles, because I think that was the two hardest things that I had to really work with in radiology through the emergency rooms when these emergencies would come through. So there had to be a learning skill that I received from being on the team in radiology, and you learn as you go and you grow. And remember, I was only 20 years old starting in that career. So this long vision, because women were 50 when I would be with them in the room, they give me this tunnel vision of life and the conversations of health and wealth and changes and transitions and, things that they did and what they did to, pour into all that was pouring into all of me. And this is why I'm pouring it out to you, because this is such an important issue. And, to stay nourished and not overwhelmed, because the more nourished you are, at this time of the year, it does get so stressful, with all the deadlines, things that are closing down. Insurance is about to transition. Either, today's world, you're going to lose it. Payments are going to go sky high. Or maybe you didn't turn in your new insurance request soon enough. It might not be in effect by January. So many different stresses. The kids are out from school, and what you have for them, you have to find those little playgrounds for them to go hang out with during this time, especially if you're working. You have caregiving to do. There's so much. So the more nourished you are, the more aware and balanced you can be in this place of your living style, because it's all about lifestyle. That's what this is all about, So by staying nourished, or let your cravings be cute, not in control. And that is taking a lot of discipline. It really does, because I fight with it all the time. I mean, I still have the monsters after me. I still have to, fight and try to figure things out. But there's sometimes these things that can be growing in our bodies that are really feeding off all that sugar that you always give it. So they are going to really explore in this hunger pain of yours, really the crave, those whispers, they'll never go away, because you feed it so much that it wants more today, more than yesterday. So, remembering that a calm body makes the season brighter. And this is what we want for this new year, because the more I get to talk to you on this podcast and bring information, this is what it's all going to be about, because the slow cooker in this potluck in our bodies is just not there. It's always also the mindset, that slow cooker in the mindset of things that we're feeding the mind, And again, I was saying that at this time of the year when it's stressful, there's a lot more arguments. There's a lot more disagreements. That package didn't get there in time, or it became lost, or, what you wanted to purchase wasn't on the shelf anymore. So many things can be upsetting. And so it's really bringing balance. Nobody's perfect in this. I know that. But by understanding the chemistry that's really rolling you out, and how, it's just like your hair. You know what kind of conditioner you like. You know what's going to pop those curls. And so by knowing these things about you, your face, your makeup, what you'll break out from, what not to put on your skin, these little things, this is what it is about your inner sides of what the body wants, listening to those whispers. And really, don't forget that water. Please don't forget that water, because with all the drinks that are going to be dehydrating us, besides all the sugar goodies, Again, I bring this to you because these were not words of wisdom that were brought to me during a conversation. I didn't get to watch somebody lecture on this prior to my uh, office parties or anything like that. I was just free living back then in those days because this wasn't a conversation. Remember, it was always in silence. Only you knew what was happening to you, the pain behind closed doors. You knew what that cycle was going to look like when it came. You knew the craves that were happening prior to the cycle and how crazy you were getting, and how moody you were, and how your own boyfriend's calling you names, whether it's your own sister or somebody, because they don't know you're on that cycle change right now. Your friends you get mad at. I mean, all kinds of things. But always understand that it is a chemistry also. So just to be sure that you understand the body whispering, the sugar sabotage awareness, and, play those holiday reindeer games. They're a lot of fun. Get involved, socialize, have fun with everyone. But again, when you're in balance, this is what's going to show that glow. So I'd love to see you sparkle this year. I hope we're going to have a lot more years having this conversation and bringing up so much more that's going to bring that glow, because this is just the beginning. Remember, there's so many resolutions that are about to be made starting in January, and people may want to change, but sometimes by the 31st, they forgot about it. So I want to be here to really talk about that slow cooker that's happening, the things that we're putting into this hormone potluck, because the hormones really have a voice. They really speak. Lady testosterone, lady progesterone, and lady estrogen. Lady Graylin, she's not always around as much as those are, except when she's really hungry, and what she does to disturb the whole cycle is the whole mix of what's slow cooking inside there. So everyone, again, I really want to wish you all the happiest year in this Christmas season, welcoming in our new Savior as he's born. It's all about gifts to our Savior and peace on earth, right, to everyone. Thank you. From Liberating Menopause, prconnectionsradio.com. Bye, everyone.
This podcast is brought to you by Envision U. Envision U has discovered how to impact spirit, body, and soul with spray technology in just 30 seconds. With Envision U, you can achieve optimal health and start living the life you have always dreamed of. Use the promo code envisinu.com/VernDix to take control of your health naturally. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.